I want to thank the music team for the great music this week. And our reader, we're on week 5 of the 12-week series on Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's a book by Rick Fields, and each week is independent. And the good news is, if you've missed any of them, all of them are available on our website at cslsoutheastla.org. And today we're going to talk about something that we've all experienced in our life in one way or another, and that's work. While many of us are not working at a 9-to-5 type of job, we still have those things that we have to do regularly, and those things that we might call work, even though we're not getting a paycheck for it. And today I want to talk about how we can do our work and love doing it. Imagine the ease of life if we remember that every kind of work can be a pleasure and a spiritual practice. So first, your question of the week. What is the one choice that you can make today to use every aspect of work to learn and grow, to create your right livelihood, and to see all your work as a spiritual practice? One more time. What's the one choice you can make today to use every aspect of work to learn and grow, to create right livelihood, and to see all your work as a spiritual practice? So what is this thing we call work? We all have an idea. The dictionary defines it as activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. Or mental or physical activity as a means of earning income. For some of it's just a task to be undertaken, something that we have to do. On the first page of our chapter, Fields quotes Mark Twain, and here's what he said. Work consists in whatever a body is obliged to do, and play consists of whatever a body is not obliged to do. Now, I made play my word for 2022 because I realized I was feeling like I was too involved in ministry work and neglecting the lighter side of my life. That's not to say that I don't love this ministry. And it's just a fact of life that Sunday rolls around every 7 days. Yet I believe that phrase of Khalil Gibran actually applies to my ministry. He said, work is love made visible. And in his book, Skillful Means, the Tibetan teacher Tarchin Tulku wrote this. Caring about our work, liking it, even loving it, seems strange when we see work only as a way to make a living. But when we see work as the way to deepen and enrich all of our experience, each one of us can find this caring within our hearts and awaken it in those around us, using every aspect of work to learn and grow. I know I see ministry as a way for me to deepen and enrich all of my experiences, and it truly does awaken me to all the things in my life for which I'm grateful. And as most of you know, I always say if ministry were a job or a way to make a living, you've chosen the wrong profession, because it truly is a calling and doesn't feel at all like work to me. Michael Phillips in the Briar Patch book wrote this. In the past, people worked at their jobs so they could do the things they wanted on weekends, go where they wanted on vacations, and in some cases, earn enough to retire early and then do what they wanted. Now our peers are saying, that's nonsense. Why should I do something I don't like 70% of my life so I can do what I want 30%? Have you considered that many of us spend 70% of our lives trying to earn wages so we can play and enjoy the other 30% of our lives? I do have to say that COVID-19 pandemic, from my vantage point, has caused a lot of people to actually pause and look at how they were spending their time. And they realized they were enjoying the additional time they had with their family. Sure, we were restricted, and people did notice how much time they spent in their cars going back and forth, and even wasting time at the workplace. This realization has forced all types of organizations to overhaul their day-to-day operations, with technology playing a key role in facilitating this change. And when asked, a lot of people that have been working from home want to continue to work from home. This trend to making life more about what is truly important was beginning even back in the 1980s. Fields wrote in his book, "The old wage slave mentality of running ourselves to our jobs for 8 hours a day to cover the essentials of life is giving way to the awareness that work is an integral part of our lives. Therefore, the quality of our lives and the quality of our work time are one and the same." As we heard in the reading about right livelihood, the really tough question with respect to work is this: what do we want? And if you can't answer that, it's time to pause and consider your options. Confucius probably had the best long-standing quote about work. His words have been repeated throughout history. Choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. When we pursue the things we love doing and then do them well, people can't take their eyes off of us. It's a lot like shining a spotlight on a performer in a theater. All your attention goes there. When I was in my 20s, I worked to bring in income and to help support the family. I eventually found a position in which I truly could say I loved my work. I was training people, and I loved to share knowledge. I had the opportunity to travel around the world, sometimes even getting to take my mama with me. We always enjoyed our evenings and weekends together. And I remember in Singapore, when I'd get back every evening, my dress for the next day was ironed and hanging in the closet. Boy, that was a great side benefit. I had a great boss at the time, and while I worked hard, I have to say I loved my work. I admit I was grateful to be able to have work that was not only something I enjoyed doing, but also paid me well enough to support my family. And once my children were grown and had moved out, I was on my own, and I ventured into my real dream, which was starting my own business. I was successful in that business for over 20 years, and the income allowed me to go to ministerial school and launch yet another part of my life in which I love what I do. There's a lot to be said for embracing the now and recognizing that we spend 70% of our time at work. So we should seek to find something that we love doing. I realize everybody's not as lucky as I was, which is why I believe the information that Fields included in his chapter this week on work is essential. He reminds us not to be a victim of victim mentality and to move in the right direction when our work is not allowing us to express our creativity. Fields cites the recommendations of Danon Perry's pragmatic advice. Essentially, when we're not enjoying our work, we have 3 choices. The first one is to use our creativity to uncover ways and means to change the system. In other words, bring to the workplace what our reading described as right living. Help yourself and others to have patience and persistence to find a positive way of being at work. Our second choice is to do nothing and to be honest about ourselves that we just don't want to rock the boat. There certainly were projects in my self-employment that I knew I just needed to finish so that I could move on. And I was fortunate enough that I wouldn't have to take more projects from that particular employer. The third choice we have is to leave our work and seek other work. I know it doesn't seem practical to do this sometimes, and we have to trust that the divine is the source of our prosperity, while, of course, taking due diligence around our finances. Sometimes we're just hitting a bit of a glitch at our work, and we just need to persevere. It's not time to throw in the towel. During the gold rush, there was a man who had been mining in Colorado for several months. And this was his dream, but he finally quit his job, giving up on this dream because he hadn't struck gold and the work was becoming tedious. He sold his equipment to another man who resumed mining where he had left off. The new miner was advised by an engineer that the gold was only 3 feet away from where the first miner had stopped digging. The engineer turned out to be right, which means the first miner was a mere 3 feet away from striking gold before he quit. When things get hard, sometimes we just need to try to persevere through the adversity. Many people give up on following their dreams because the work becomes too difficult or too tiresome. But often, you're closer to the finish line than you think. And if you push just a little harder, you may succeed. I like that quote of Henry David Thoreau, who stated, "Do what you love, know your own bone, gnaw at it, bury it, unearth it, and gnaw it still." There's something to be said for the way a dog really enjoys a bone, isn't there? And to truly love what we do, it can't be about something transient. If you love the title or the money or the position, you're never going to find that happiness and fulfillment in your work. Fulfillment in your work is about recognizing how you and others benefit from the outcome. Being able to do what you love and to do it well is so much more meaningful than any of those transient things like titles or money or positions. It's not to say that these things aren't important. They just aren't what brings us true satisfaction. It's definitely a privilege to be able to do what you love to do. I realize it's not something that everyone gets to do. So I feel really blessed I was able to love my work throughout my career. And whether you love your work or just tolerate it, everyone can make work a spiritual practice, which definitely brings a lot more love into it. Ernest Holmes invites us to seek to make your work a prayer. You're believing an act, you're living an art. It is then that the object of your faith will be made visible to you. It is then that you shall kiss the lips of your desire. Now that's making work a spiritual practice, living it as an art. While spirituality has a different meaning to each person on the planet, we might be able to agree that in essence, it is one's essential pursuit of meaning and purpose, regardless of whatever religious faith you have. So how do we apply that to work? How do we apply the concept of chop wood, carry water to our work and to our livelihoods? That's a great question, right? In Colossians 3:23-24, we read this: "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. If we look at those words from the Bible, whatever we do, work at it with all our heart. Even if you're not doing what you love for a living, if you bring your whole heart to it, do what you can, chop wood and carry water with the intention of a wonderful outcome, then you might notice that you actually begin to love your work, or that other opportunities come along that are more suited to your liking. In Practical Application of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes reminds us that our work is how we see it. It's when we see what we are obliged to do as something we can do with an open heart that we recognize that everything we do can be a spiritual practice, and that will open our hearts to expanding and to more love. Here's what Holmes wrote. Proper understanding of his relationship to the universe, supported by intelligent, industrious work, will add materially to his measure of success. Work without vision is a drudgery, but vision without work is self-deception. The well-balanced man can walk with his head in the clouds and still keep his feet solidly planted on the ground. Faith and work are ineffective when separated. Wow. Faith and work are ineffective when separated. What a call that is for us to recognize that no matter what we're doing, be it sweeping streets or washing dishes or training people to use software or driving a bus, every act can be a spiritual practice. And if your work feels like drudgery, try to see where you are without vision around it. Look for a way, as we described earlier, to bring to that workplace a way to help yourself and others have patience and persistence to find a positive way of being at work. Henry Thoreau also wrote, "Many men go fishing all their lives without knowing that it's not fish they are after." We all have something in our lives that's something we want to get done, some work that seems like drudgery. Is there something that you keep avoiding or finding other things to do rather than work through getting it done? That's you going fishing. It's not the fish you're after, is it? And we might never know the joy of completing that work or the impact it might have on our lives or on the lives of others. So I invite you to bring a vision to it. Bring a vision of the positive things that doing that particular task might bring. In Help for Today, Holmes reminds us, our Creator has provided us with the tools with which to work. Our minds, our hands, our talents. We have been given an intellect which has a remarkable capacity to learn and profit thereby. Experience is a great teacher, and we can learn and profit from every experience, whether it be good or bad. So how might you use your remarkable capacity to learn, your talents, your tools that the Creator has given you, and create a life in which those things that appear to be work might be an opportunity to enhance your spiritual practices, to get closer to the divine through prayer or through mindfulness, or through doing that work which up until now seemed like a drudgery. Tibetan Tarthang Tulku wrote, "Every kind of work can be a pleasure. Even simple household tasks can be an opportunity to exercise and expand our caring, our effectiveness, our responsiveness. As we respond with caring and vision to all work, we develop our capacity to respond fully to all of life. Every action generates positive energy which can be shared with others. These qualities of caring and responsiveness are the greatest gift we can offer. So what might you do this week to make all your work a pleasure? To make every task an opportunity to exercise and expand your caring. So in summary, decide what it is that you work at, and remember, use every aspect of that work to learn and to grow. Notice how your work allows you to deepen your experience of life, and that it's not just a way to make a living. Create your right livelihood. Pick any area of great passion and make that your work. If work is unsatisfying or a drudgery, find the vision, possibly change the system, or leave and do something else. See all your work as a spiritual practice. Whatever it is, do it with your whole heart. And remember to keep digging. The gold is very close. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is that I so easily and willingly make the choice today to use every aspect of work to learn and grow, to create my right livelihood, and to see all my work as a spiritual practice. So I challenge you this week to make a conscious choice to notice any work that seems like a drudgery and bring a vision to that work that notices the positive outcomes for yourself and others. Make all your work a spiritual practice. And remember, every kind of work can be a pleasure and a spiritual practice. Let's pray. So we take a deep, nourishing breath, and we just move into that place within us where we know the divine, where we know the God that is love and joy and peace and ease and grace and comfort, where we know that God of freedom and happiness and laughter. And we connect with that right now, knowing that as individual expressions of the divine, all that God is a part of who we are. And what I know to be the truth is that each of us is here today to have listened to something that is triggering a way in our lives for us to do those small tasks that may seem to be a drudgery with more love and with a more open heart, for us to recognize that everything that we do, be it work or play, is connected to this one life of which we're each a part. So I am grateful. I'm grateful to know that the God without is the God within each of us. I'm grateful to know that right where I am, God is. And I'm grateful to recognize whatever it is that I am doing, it's my choice to do it with love, an open heart, and to learn and grow from it. So from all that gratitude, that I just release these words into the law that always says yes, into the law of love and action, knowing that the divine has already called it good, already called it done. So I can just say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. I want to thank you again for all of the people that are sending in donations on a regular basis or even intermittently. And I do want to say that we got our tax documents out to you this week, so if you haven't gotten one, please contact us so that we can make sure that we resend it. I am so grateful for this opportunity we have to start looking for a place to meet the last Sunday of the month and to be in person and as a hybrid service. And it's all because you are donating. I so appreciate that. Enjoy our offertory song.